So my talk is called Find Belonging and Stay in Control. When we talk about belonging, we usually refer to something outside of us. I belong to the cricket club. He belongs to me. She felt a sense of belonging in the community. But why should we have to search outside of us to find the feeling of belonging? It was the Greek philosopher Heraclitus who said the only constant is change. So if everything around us constantly changes, then we must learn to understand and take a hold of the only thing we can, ourselves. And the wise Mr. Gandhi who said, be the change you wish to see in the world. So if we must reflect in ourselves what we wish to see, feel, and experience in our outside environment, then we must become our own sense of belonging. Let us consider some steps that might help us to cultivate this sense of belonging. Step 1. Notice habits. Most of us are disconnected from ourselves, but no wonder with the world we live in. There are distractions everywhere. It's next to impossible to have a whole conversation with anyone without either one of us checking our phones for another distraction. A lot of us spend our lives escaping into screens for work or entertainment. And the effect of this is not only a massive disconnection with each other, but a disconnection from our true selves, our bodies, our souls, and our power. We must first learn to listen to our bodies and understand our feelings in order to get back in touch with ourselves. There are many ways to do this, for example, meditation, writing a journal, or spending time alone. Find a way that aids you to understand and express your feelings so that you can release them and move on. When we record and connect to our feelings, we can start to see patterns. We can start to see the effect that our daily habits have on our emotional well-being. It's worth mentioning at this point that our daily habits, which we may see as mundane and meaningless, make up about 70% of our lives. Once we can see what our daily habits are, we can see that the world does not control us. The decisions we make shape our lives. We are in control. We may have at some point created habits that might make us feel bad, but we have the power to change them. You do not need to take part in anything that does not serve you. Personally, I found it useful to create what I call a feeling diary for a month using video. I had to be strict with myself and make sure I took 10 minutes out of every day to speak about how I felt. And what happened was something I did not expect. Not only did I feel a sense of release for letting the feelings out, avoiding unnecessary blocks, but I discovered reasonings behind my habits and my behaviours and was able to give myself solid advice based on how I work and therefore am likely to move forward. From doing this exercise, I was able to answer the following questions. Please feel free to answer these out loud or in your head. Do you know exactly where all your energy is going day to day? Do you have friends that sap your energy? Do you know what makes you happy or optimistic? Do you know what food gives you the most energy? Does drinking alcohol affect the way you feel about yourself? Do you speak to yourself unkindly? How much do you respect yourself? And can you separate yourself from other people's dramas? If this has made you rethink even one of these questions, this is a good exercise for you. Sources have said it takes 21 days to 2 months to be able to change a habit, depending on the sort of habit you're trying to change and the sort of person that you are. Either way, your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny, says Gandhi. And I think we can all agree that changing your destiny for the better is worth the extra effort for 2 months or less. Step 2, remove limits. Please turn to face the person on your right and answer 2 quick-fire questions. Sorry if you have to leave. Okay, ready? Question 1. If I said you could do or be anything, what would your choice be? Go. Okay, thank you. Question 2. Question 2. Now what do you think is standing in your way? Okay, thank you. So whatever you answered was standing in your way to question 2 is called a self-limiting belief. And you can get rid of it, or them. Self-limiting beliefs are formed from the ages of 0 to 7 when our brains do not have the capacity yet to make sense of what things mean objectively. For example, Our parents arguing about money might make us believe that money is bad, or us witnessing an unequal partnership between our parents might leave an imprint on future relationships for us. Our parents are our first experience of love, and they subconsciously tell us what we need to know for life. It's important to be aware of what these are so we can detach ourselves from any beliefs that don't help us to move forward. If we do not remove these, they can subconsciously limit us from making decisions that best serve us because we just don't see it as an option. As well as acting in our lives, our subconscious beliefs can also affect how we react to situations in our lives. As you can see from this sphere of influence taken from an educational site for teachers to inspire students, by focusing our mental energy inwards, we can have a positive or negative influence on the people and the environments around us. Whether we are aware of it or not, the choice is ours. Once we can see what our recurring reactions are, we can choose to react differently, influencing ourselves and the environments around us. Self-help author Napoleon Hill said, "No one can make you feel jealous, angry, vengeful, or greedy unless you let him." Writing your beliefs down on paper alongside where you think they might originate, however ridiculous it sounds, will help you to start breaking down your blocks. My subconscious beliefs and fears of being unintelligent, nervous, not feeling as if I'm enough or don't deserve to do what I love are beginning to be overridden by my excitement. Fear will always be with us. We have to learn to move past it. Being blocked by fear is like being stuck behind bars. Moving through it is like watching the fireworks. At first they may be loud and scary, but what comes out is a beautiful experience that makes the fear all worth it. Making the right decision for you will always come from following your excitement. Step 3, make space. One of our essential needs as humans is the need for constant growth. As Tony Robbins puts it, if you don't feel like you're growing, you'll feel like you're dying inside. And we cannot grow if we do not have the space. And this means physical and emotional space. Can you insert yourself inside each of these environments and feel the difference? Interior design writer Henrietta Ripperger says, "If a home doesn't make sense, nothing does." And that saying, messy space, messy mind, is also true when it comes to our emotional health. Mess takes our attention away and makes it difficult for a clear thought to materialize due to the physical disorganization that surrounds us. Our exterior surroundings reflect back into our internal thoughts, cluttering up our minds. Do you have things in your working space or your living space that you don't use? If you haven't used it in a year, even 6 months, get rid of it. Give it to charity or a friend who will actually make use of it. The feeling will be liberating. In order to make emotional space, we must trust our bodies enough to listen to and to follow our intuition. I am sure we've all had that experience of ignoring that niggling feeling and it leading us down a darker and more unsatisfactory path. Maybe you thought, if only I had listened to that little voice in my head that told me to break up with that person 10 months ago, I wouldn't be experiencing all this drama now. I know I have. Where do you think I got the example? Everyday intuitions are also important. Remember, it is suggested that our daily habits make up about 70% of our lives. So if we are to ignore our intuition a little every day, how can we rely on it for big decisions? Just like learning a new skill, we must practice. Yes. And finally, step 4, dream big. Most of us have had those dreams that never amounted to anything, but have we ever stopped to think why? Maybe we didn't have enough money or the right expertise, or the world wasn't on our side. One thing I have learned from trying and failing and trying and failing and trying again is that showing gratitude for the things that we already have and the lessons that can be learned from the more difficult situations brings about an unearthly amount of abundance. Have you ever wondered why the people who seem to succeed in their dreams are usually very positive people? Because not only does gratitude, alongside a lot of work, of course, bring abundance, but it also brings contentment. It's also important, of course, to allow ourselves to feel low sometimes. We must accept the necessity of the ups and downs in life. Because through experiencing what we don't want, we find what we do want. In the same vein, it's important to be reminded that we are in control of how we make ourselves feel. So in the same way that allowing ourselves to feel defeated for long periods of time will only bring about more of the same feeling, pushing through our fears into the unknown may be scary, and we might fail sometimes, but the constant thrill of moving forward towards our dreams and experiencing the new only brings us even more strength and excitement. Writing a gratitude journal is a good way to start. Write down 5 things you're grateful for every single day, perhaps looking into the more difficult situations to find out what you can learn from this and how you can grow. Keep it with you in your bag or fill it in before you go to bed. I guarantee you'll feel a difference after only 2 weeks of practice. Once we are in tune with our intuition, we are connected to our true purpose, because our intuitive nature is who we really are, who we really want to be. Therefore, following our intuition leads us to more suitable opportunities that we can see clearly now that we are connected to ourselves. A quote from Albert Einstein. All meaningful and lasting change starts first in your imagination and then works its way out. To recap, notice habits. Get in touch with yourself using things like the feeling diary and notice how your habitual patterns make you feel. Remove limits. Clear your blocks by writing them down on paper and working through them so that you can follow your excitement. Make space in your living space and your working space and emotionally by listening to and following your intuition. And finally, dream big. Practice showing gratitude every day and notice the effect that this has on your mood and the new exciting things you can achieve with this newfound feeling. These steps are not steps to help us create control or a sense of belonging, but to bring them back to us. We were born in control, and we were born with a sense of belonging, but life is busy and we lose ourselves in it. It may seem like a big river to cross, to ask questions like, who am I? What do I want? Or what is my core purpose? And it's okay if you don't know, but it's worth thinking about. We can choose to get bogged down by these questions or smothered by the mud that our outside world throws at us. Or we can work on shaking off the mud to solve these hard questions and to get to the other side of the river, where the grass is greener, where we are happy, where we are fulfilled, where we can be in control. This is where I believe we can all belong.